Is it P-R-A-C-E-Y or
C-Y.
Should have worn a first sleeve shirt.
Are you warm already?
Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We have several things to discuss. Thank you all for being here tonight. And again, we have a packed agenda, several items of importance moving the city forward for our discussions tonight. I'll start with item A, which is roll call. Let the roll show that all are present and accounted for. We'll move to item B, which is citizen input. Do we have any citizens here that would like to have a word with us tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Pat Ike, 6226 Gaines Street, Norcross. Just a couple of items I mentioned to a couple of councilmen beforehand, and I believe this particular issue is just an error. But there are two questions on it. Number one, I'm the president of the HOA in 7 Norcross, and in page 114, we're showing a map that shows that a portion of 7 Norcross is M1, and I believe that's the incorrect map, and I think, just talking to Matt, I think he confirmed that may be the incorrect map. So for the record, I want to have the correct map on there, where it would show, what was it, Matt?
PRD.
PRD. So that was the first thing. The second thing on the map, it indicates that historic district actually splits right down the middle of Norcross 7. I would request, if we're making changes to the UDO, whatever, that we include all of Norcross, because it's all one contiguous group. So possibly that should be part of that change. That's all I have.
Thanks, Pat.
All right, thank you.
Any other citizens at this time?
Two things. One, communication. I got the notice from the city about tonight's meeting. When I clicked on the link, it sent me to a page that I found out was an abbreviated agenda. I don't know. And then it wasn't until I was clicking around and clicked on the agenda package that I found the actual agenda that included all the items, but the abbreviated agenda really just included 3 items. There's some disconnect. And then to sign up, I had to go on and create an account to sign up to speak tonight. It wouldn't let me set up an account. I got into this circular loop of IT, whatever. Anyway, so a couple things, just housekeeping things. The other thing I really wanted to talk about was the Norcross letters.
City manager needs to make note and address those issues.
Certainly.
Norcross letters, you're making an absolute terrible mistake putting those in Lillian Webb Park. As somebody said the other day, when you're in Lillian Webb Park, you only know you're in Norcross. You don't need 5-foot-high letters telling you you're in Norcross when you're in the middle of Lillian Webb Park. Those letters were designed to be front and center on Buford Highway. Those are 50-mile-an-hour letters. They're 5 feet high for a purpose, so that as people go by on Buford Highway at 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, they see that that's Norcross. You have an opportunity to create a very lively piece of art on what is your main frontage, Buford Highway. They don't need to be put in the park unless they're going to be designed as some play structure that are going to allow kids to climb on them. But if they're truly signage, they need to be on Buford Highway, and they need to be front and center where they can be used for what they're intended for, and that's a placeholder for the city of Norcross as people are running down Buford Highway and extended. So keep them out of the park, put them back where they were, and in front of the library or in front of Brunswick, somewhere along that stretch of Beaufort Highway, so people know they're in Norcross. They already know that when they're in the park.
Thank you for those comments, certainly. Anyone else from the public at this time?
Yep, Bob Grossman, 5610 Vineyard Park Trail. Just, you actually prompted me to think about something. Depending on where that sign gets placed ultimately, the architectural element. Yeah, another possibility, there is an incredible palette on the front of the library. It's like just a plain cement wall. And I realize it's a little tricky in that in order to get approval for a mural on there, it would need both county, city, and potentially Gwinnett County Library approvals. But there's an extraordinary palette, both that front-facing Beaufort Highway wall, which is just a blank cement, as well as the side. So another opportunity for us to really create a landmark into the Norcross arena.
Thank you for those comments. Appreciate that. Anyone else from the public would like to speak at this time on any issue?
When you guys talk about Rosie Brundage,
If you'd like to go ahead and speak now, that'll be fine. Just give your name and your
okay.
address.
So it's Walter Bell, and I'm at 339 Archery Street, and I live right next door to Rosie Brundage Park. And so I've been there for both of the incidents that happened recently, and I was disturbed because I have small kids. I'm a huge fan of basketball, so I never thought I would live to see the day, but I think you guys are going in the right direction by taking the basketball goals down, because I've noticed at the park it's extremely quiet for the past several weeks since that's happened. So I just wanted that to be duly noted.
Thank you so much. Any other comments from the public at this time? Okay, B, if you would, go ahead and give us our update. B. Grossman with Sustainable Norcross Commission.
Can y'all hear me? Okay, cool. My name is Bea Grossman. I'm the outgoing chair of Sustainable Norcross Commission. Mayor, council, staff, we'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak before you and to update you on our activities and the direction of the SNC over the past year. It's been a year since we last presented, and it sure is good to be back. As you saw in your packet, and I'm not going to read this to you, you all have it, but about a year and a half ago we did update our mission statement to better align with our goals, the needs of the community, activities, and growth that the city has made in the area of sustainability. Some updates. When I was here a year ago, we had 2 openings. Since that time, we have added 2 wonderful members, Bob Evely, who is here, and Susan Bell. After 6 years on the commission and 2 years as chair, my second term is ending. It's been an honor to work with mayor, council, staff, board members over these last 6 years. Our new chair, Bob Evely, who is here tonight. Bob, if you would raise your hand for those that don't know him. I know he will do a wonderful job leading SNC into the future. 2021 was a real pivotal year for SNC. We began meeting online probably in the spring or summer of 2020 during lockdown, and we were looking at ways to make an impact in spite of COVID. Our board members worked on several projects. We put a lot of focus on social media and education. Our wonderful sustainability intern, Julia Killings, has worked on several projects with Norcross High 3DE program, and as a result of their work, we have tweaked our social media program. We have scheduled postings using Sustainability Tip Tuesday on the city's Facebook page. She worked with the HMBA to implement a program to recycle Halloween candy wrappers. So, oops, I'm getting way ahead of myself here. So we, in terms of kind of our highlights of 2021. This doesn't even begin to start to include everything we've done. It was very pivotal. We completed the 6th year of our farmers market and pivoted to online during COVID and ultimately moved to Skin Alley for the summer of 2021. As of this fiscal year, the market now falls under the purview of the city. Sustainable Norcross will continue to support it, offer educational programming for Bee City, recycling, and other areas as needed. Our largest and most consequential and time-consuming projects for 2021 were the ARC Green Communities recertification and our Feet on the Street recycling anti-contamination program. Due to COVID, we were given an additional year to complete our recertification, and as a part of that process, the city now has a community forest master plan. Thank you for that. Lily Parks came on board in April, jumped right in reviewing and updating multiple drafts of our 250-plus page application. In addition, SNC board members reviewed and updated multiple times. It was submitted on May 26th. A huge thank you to Lily for jumping in and in 30 days bringing our application up to par. We couldn't have done it without her. She's a true rock star. ARC will have a decision on our certification by January 12th, 2022. Other large projects was the Feet on the Street anti-contamination recycling program. You heard about that both at PDC when Laura presented and a presentation to a previous council meeting. So the project had been in the works for about 2 years and came to fruition with the help of a large grant. It would not have been possible with the help of volunteers, Public Works, Accent Creative. For the last 6 months, we've met at least weekly to keep this program on task and on time. Without the dedication, organization, and contribution of Laura Hernandez and Lily Parks, this program would not have been successful. We owe them a huge debt of gratitude. You can see from the slides many of the specifics of the program, and I want to review some important takeaways. We reduced contamination from 47% to 32.5%, a 31% decrease. The greatest reduction was in plastic bags, which decreased by 78%. We're getting the message out. Some residents are using recycling bins as garbage bins, so we've got some opportunities there. This huge takeaway, which we just learned last week on our wrap-up call, the value of our recyclables increased from $115 a ton to $178 a ton, an increase of $63 a ton by getting out all the contaminants. It's huge, and this data could be very useful in renegotiating or bidding our trash and recycling agreement when it expires next summer. So, we need to continue doing what we're doing to bring more value, because before, nobody really knew what was going to the recycling facility and what it was worth. And there is room for improvement. To keep the momentum going, we need to and plan to focus on our messaging and education. After years of changes in what's allowed in the recycling bin and inconsistent education, we've got a great opportunity to engage with the community. Comprehensive education is still needed. We need to find a way to differentiate between recycling and trash containers. Sometimes if you get out on the street, you see two gray ones side by side, and if the label's not on there, it's anybody's guess. So we also plan on utilizing social media, newsletters, mailers, and the farmers market to continue with specific education and focus on individual contaminants. Plastic bags were a huge one, glass was pretty big, bag trash, those kinds of things. But we also have things with shredded paper. Some of those things are recyclable, just not at curbside. We also think there's an opportunity to address serial polluters who continue to use the recycling bin for trash cans. Sometimes people who can't afford a second trash can use it as a recycling bin. We had 132 homes that received 3 tags, so we know we at least have that many serial polluters. The good news is we had over 1,000 model recyclers who did not receive any tags. The shots on this next slide are kind of indicative of some of the contamination that we saw during the 4-week program. So our future messaging will reiterate, what is accepted, and will be very, very specific in terms of what is accepted. We'll continue to promote that. We will emphasize only the exact list of accepted materials that are acceptable or permissible in the bid. So moving forward, this slide is by no means inclusive of the work we're doing, just the highlights. And SNC is in the process of putting together a 2022 calendar, which will focus on our initiatives in education. Other key areas are work to update our data collection process to streamline the future green community certifications. We're working hard to make it more seamless and to have quarterly check-ins and to keep on track. We'll continue to focus on collaboration with other boards. We've got a board member, Susan Bell, who's an SNC representative on Parks and Green Space, and who also works closely with the Garden Club. We have opportunities to work with Impact Discovery Garden Park and the Tree Board, and are also already working on a few projects, starting with planting and Earth Day cleanup. And of course, the pollinator garden, which will be built on in the spring between City Hall and the Cotton Gin. The Board of Sustainable Norcross, Inc., which is separate from SNC, which previously managed the farmers market, recently voted to donate approximately $5,000 in honor of founding member Jim Scarborough for the installation of a green roof at a city facility. The gift would pay for a professional design from a landscape architect who has green roof experience. We're in hopes that this green roof can be a part of the new building at Johnson Dean Park. A green roof would have many benefits, including supporting many current initiatives and certifications, and can be used as an example for others to follow. And last but not least, we welcome your questions and feedback, from mayor, council, and, at another time, certainly the community, and we'd love to hear any of your feedback or areas of focus and/or questions. Thank you.
Great presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well done.
Eric told me I couldn't go more than 5 minutes, so I just
You did.
talk. Did you time me?
Any questions of council while you have her? Yes.
Just real quick, the serial polluters, I'm very interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
How much does a second trash bin cost?
A first one I think is probably
The first one should be
$13 or so, whatever it is a month. So I presume the second one isn't as much, but I don't know. And I don't know that.
I think they're paying for trash service, not for the bin.
And I don't know if that's the, I can't say every serial polluter is doing that. It could be education, wishful recycling, but we do have,
Oh wait, so when you were out there and you opened the recycling bin, you see it's trash, did you ever reach next door and open up and see a trash bin full?
Well, there was, the recycling partnership actually did the feet on the street, but we did a curbside capture program 1 week in August, and in October we collected, with the help of Public Works, about 15 bins, just randomly, and dumped them, sorted, and weighed. So that, I can't directly answer that question. That's where the data came from, from the reduction. But we had bags of diapers, toaster ovens.
Diapers aren't for
But
me.
we don't know where,
$180 a year for a second trash,
Really?
roughly 15 a month.
Do you have any idea how much demand there is for that?
We can get,
All right, well, let's,
We can look
at
yeah,
that.
We could
it seems like an easy solution for people who need extra bins is to give them an extra bin.
If they can't afford it though,
Why do they have?
they use a recycling bin because that's included in the
we
price.
charge everybody else that's an enterprise.
So, I can't speak for people, but that's one of the things that kind of came to mind as we were doing the capture study and seeing the amount of garbage, so.
Yeah, to me, if there's value in clean recycling, there might be an offset in those who would prefer second trash can. If we get that number to, let's say 90%, what's our recycling per ton increase? Does it offset the $180? So as an enterprise, you make the decision what's going to be the most valuable to you versus looking at it at a individual level. You say,
Yeah.
if the tonnage goes up, that's clean, and you're saying that's value, that's dollars to our contract, there might be value in.
So we could
offering it.
recalculate, make the second one free for everyone, recalculate what it costs for basic trash and factor in the additional recycling.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I don't.
if it
Or
works,
the cleaner
the math
recycling.
works, then it might be an opportunity for us to kill two birds
Just
with
a
one
different model.
stone.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, certainly something to look at. I don't know, I think I don't know who gets the value of the recycling. If that goes to the hauler, if it comes to us, I don't have visibility to where that value is, if there is any value, to the city. If we're just paying a fee and the hauler, I don't know how that works out, but it certainly gives us some negotiating.
I'd like us to look into it at the very least. The answer might be no still, but
Very good.
And I think Lily has a lot of data.
Thank you, Bea, we certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay. We'll have a update.
Point of privilege, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to discuss moving this meeting into a larger room, now that we've gotten past the citizen inputs. And I think it's something that would meet the current suggestions from our county health director and the CDC, so that we could get a little more space between us.
Now, this is item 12.
I'm just suggesting we move the meeting now to that room, and just, it's all set up, we can move into that room. We'll still have to discuss it, item 12, but we'll discuss it in the other room.
I'm open to discussing, having the council discuss and weigh in on the point of privilege that was offered.
yeah, I have, from my perspective, where we meet is in this room or we meet in another room. Doesn't change what we do as a council, so I support if we need to move to the other room, we can move to the other room. Okay with that.
I think it's a common courtesy, and as we see that there's people standing in the hallway, and we've got a pretty full room here, many of whom are not social distancing, but all wearing a mask. It'd be a good idea. We have a pretty large room next door with 2 doors that open and better ventilation.
We have 2 other council members. Would you like to weigh in on moving the meeting or asking why we need to move the meeting?
I did reach out to our attorney, asking some questions, especially regarding the opportunity that was offered of where we could teleconference if we had to. So that could be an option.
Well, it's not an option tonight. We can discuss that. I would suggest when we come to the item on the agenda, I'm suggesting we move the meeting to the other room where there's more space. And do that now.
Okay. Let's be open and
The reason why.
yeah, I think we all expect from our elected officials open and transparent government. You have a request to move the meeting to the next room. Could you tell us why you have that request?
Certainly. If you insist, Mr. Mayor, I'll be happy to
I certainly do.
make my health concerns knowledgeable to the entire world because you're insisting on it. I've been diagnosed recently with a immune compromised situation. My physician has suggested that if we're not 6 feet apart and masked, his suggestion would be to do so, and likewise with Dr. Arona. So I'm asking for this to accommodate my needs as well as anyone else's needs who we don't know may have similar situations.
Thank you for that. I certainly appreciate it. Any other comments from council?
We're gonna follow we're gonna follow the rules in the charter to begin with. We're gonna listen to legal.
There's no rules and charter that say,
I'll have to run the meeting. What the charter states is that, yes, we can move the meeting by ordinance, but there's a request to move the meeting immediately. If there's an immediate request, the mayor has the authority to move the meeting based on our ordinance. But that's what that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I'm hearing, that we have a reason that we should consider moving the meeting. And I'm a reasonable and amiable person, just like everyone here. If there's a good reason that we need to move the meeting, I'm certainly willing to do that. Let me ask this question before we make that call. Any other input on that?
Yeah, with the recent information, I'm willing to support my colleague in city council to move the meeting if that's what's best.
It won't work.
For him, I would support our decision to do that.
Okay. Yeah, your support. It won't. We won't be able to make a motion because a motion would be out of order because we haven't advertised this as an agenda item. It would have to be a special call meeting. So again, the mayor has the authority to move the meeting. I just need to get information or hear information as to why we're going to have to pick everybody up and move them to the next door. But I did have a question of, are we prepared to move next door?
When I walked by to fill up my water bottle, it did look prepared.
The person that would know is the city manager, but likewise, I walked through.
I think you went to look.
Yeah, I think you went to look.
Could someone bring him in here, please?
I'm back.
Okay.
So if you want to move next door, I just talked to IT staff. It will not be live streamed on YouTube. It will be recorded on Zoom.
It will be recorded, but it won't be live
It
streamed.
will not be live streamed.
Oh, we record right now. Are we live streaming on YouTube?
We're on YouTube right now.
When did that start?
It's a good question. We didn't used to live stream.
Yeah, we've recorded for 12 years, so.
Absolutely. Any other comments before I make a ruling? No other comments? Okay. Based on the information, there's a health issue that's been presented to us to move the meeting next door. I will agree to moving the meeting for additional discussion and also indefinitely until we reach a 2.0 positivity, PCR positivity rate, in which we will move the meeting back to this meeting place. Because I think this space is the most conducive for a conference meeting space and for getting things done, and it has been for years. I don't want to just simply throw that out the window willy-nilly because we've made a lot of effective decisions based on the way that we have this meeting set up conference style. So what I will do at this point is entertain a motion to adjourn into the next room.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
A second.
And a second. Pat, am I in order
Yes.
to make a motion to adjourn?
Yes, you have control of the situation, so you can do it without a motion.
Right.
But if you choose to get a consensus, then that's your option.
I do want a consensus.
And I would suggest, it sounds somewhat vapid, but the meeting was noticed for this room. Make sure there's somebody out there, should we get a late arrival, don't come in here and they go home.
Eric, would you have someone to
Yes, sir.
put the information? Okay. Yeah. We have a motion and a second to adjourn and go to the next room for health reasons. Any objections to moving that question? All in favor?
All right.
Thank you.
I'm just taking this. It's right there. Thank you so much for asking me that.
Appreciate it.
I thought you said you were going to be out of town. Oh, you came back.
Yeah, we changed our flights.
Huh? So how was it?
Well, let's figure
out where we're
gonna sit.
Just the fact that I changed my flight to some of the Cowboys game. So we flew out at 12:08.
You said a bad word. Cowboys game. That was really, that was ridiculous.
I figured I'd wear it today.
But I'm happy because Georgia Tech, Tennessee.
Wait, Georgia Tech, Tennessee?
Everybody signed that.
Tennessee on Saturday. But Tennessee is not the team that it used to be. You know, Tennessee used to be a contender, but not as much anymore.
It wasn't even a game.
Huh?
It wasn't even.
The Falcons game?
It's embarrassing.
Hey, we got embarrassed the week before, so.
Yeah, you did.
Broncos embarrassed us really bad.
Get my power.
That's the right.
I know, of course.